Hello, my name is Tarun Lolobatu, and I'm presenting on my final project for the Cybersecurity Bootcamp at Georgia Tech. I created a MAC address traffic parser, and I'm going to get into what that is exactly. So, I was curious about how security teams that are currently in the field are keeping clean logs of all the network traffic that they're monitoring, so I decided let me try that. So this program is actually doing that. It's monitoring the network for any activity and or connections, old or new, and keeping a log of these devices that are frequenting the network, such as mobile devices, laptops, desktops, even servers. And doing all this, I also wanted to maintain an easily digestible dictionary of MAC addresses that anyone on the team could read and look into if there's any potential issues that need to be resolved. So, why do we care about MAC addresses? I should probably first explain what a MAC address is. MAC address is a hard address that is assigned to a device when it is created, literally. So, let's take a laptop for an example. A laptop, when it's created in the factory, is actually hard coded, like into the device itself, what its MAC address is. Then a router would see that MAC address when this laptop is connected to the network and gives it an IP address. So a MAC address is super useful for connecting to the network, but it can also be used for nefarious things like spoofing. Spoofing is when you pretend to have someone else's MAC address to basically pretend that you are that device, and a lot of things that can go wrong from there. So we want to make sure we know what MAC addresses are frequent in the network for logging and safety purposes. What's done with this past that is completely up to security teams and the needs that need to be met there. This is just a visual representation of a MAC address. MAC, yeah, six bytes there, all in hexadecimal, and every device that connects to a network has one of these for sure. So now I want to explain exactly what I'm doing. This is going to be a lot of information, but I'll try and make it palatable. So on the network, this program is going to call for a TCP dump. It's going to utilize libpcap API to do so. That's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but basically the gist of it is we're going to dump a bunch of raw data into a log file. This raw data includes very important stuff like MAC addresses, connection types, the amount of data being transferred between devices, and even IP addresses. But all we care about are the MAC addresses. So we're going to take those MAC addresses from that dumped information, and we're going to put it into a clean, nice to read fashion. Where this actually being implemented on a network, I have it set up so that it can be run in intervals, but for now we're just going to run it manually for the sake of the presentation. We're also going to update a log file that particularly makes it easy to read these MAC addresses. So yeah, let's get to that. I'm going to switch over to this operating system. This is Kali Linux. This is basically my base of operations, and I'm going to go ahead and start running the TCP dump so that we can start picking up traffic. I'm also going to start up this operating system, this Gen2 operating system, so that we can actually get some network traffic. It's all local to me. I'm not actually doing this on my home network, doing this on purely on my system. So we're going to have two operating systems up, and I'm going to shortly see what's going on here. I'm going to show you right here in the top left. First of all, let me get this running. So this Gen2 operating system is currently booting up, and as you can see here in Kali Linux, I already have a list of trusted MAC addresses that we know of already. So this is my base system. This is the system that's running these systems. It's basically just addresses that we know of already. So obviously I named the file trusted MAC addresses. So this is booting up. We're going to wait for this log file up here to get populated. So give it one moment, wait for the network manager to pop up on here. Looks like we should be good, but just to make sure, I'm going to give it a second. I'm going to check this log file. Oh, looks like we have a ton of stuff. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. This would be automated in an actual environment, but just for the sake of this presentation, we are doing it manually. So I'm going to run the next files. So that would be the routine. It looks like our dictionary got updated. If if I take a look in here, we now have some new files. I have this dictionary.txt. If we look in here, it's a bit hard to read, but definitely not as hard to read as the log file. We have MAC addresses, we have the actual address itself, and then we have all the timestamps of what or when this particular MAC address was doing something on the network. So, but can't easily tell from here what the which MAC address matches up to which system right now. To make that easier, all of this is cleaned even more so in the trusted MAC text file. So let's go look at that really quick. So it looks like, compared to the last time we looked at this file, we have two new MAC addresses. So it looks like we have two new devices on the network that are interacting with the network, and we managed to log their MAC addresses. So what we could do from here is, hey, we'd be curious, like, hey, what are these two MAC addresses doing? When were they doing stuff? So we can look at this one in particular. So it looks like this one ends in AA. So if I look for it in the dictionary, we can see that they were doing stuff in all of these timestamps. But yeah, that's actually all my program is doing. I'm just basically logging exactly when these devices are on the system, when they're doing stuff, and logging their MAC addresses. So yeah, that's the gist of it. If you have any questions, please ask. Thank you.